daughters. So these books are actually progressive. If you open the first page, it's a screenshot of the Royal Copenhagen China pattern. It was sort of like my way, because of my education, I couldn't not give them credit for their pattern and still feel okay with myself and not feel like I copied something. So it actually has their web address on there, so the bibliography is on the page of the book, so I felt much better about myself. The other thing that's on that page is a printout of an email from a friend of mine whose recipe for beer bread, she emailed me years ago and we've been using it ever since. And so that's one of those things that's been incorporated into my lexicon of, oops, the challah didn't come out, what do I do for bread now? I also make sure in my recipe box personally that every recipe I receive from someone who wasn't, my mother or my grandmother, it has their name on it. So in my recipe box, it's Rachel's beer bread. But I decided to print it out as, from her email, because a lot of recipes I use now aren't in my recipe box. I just Google back in my email and they're there. Okay, I'm running way over.
It's okay.
Quickly. The next page is a sketch of the China pattern that I did by hand and a sketch of a recipe written out like it would have been in my cards. The third page, which is the soup bowl, is the first pass of the watercolor and the ink, the first ink of the recipe as it would be in my cards. It's my handwriting, yes. Everybody wants to ask me, yes, it's my handwriting. I went to Catholic school. That's my handwriting. The fourth page is the main dish, and it's the recipes from that course all written out perfectly in ink, and the full ink of the full watercolor of the dinner plate. And the last page is a completely finished plate on white, just like it would have been on my grandmother's dishes. My grandmother's book is all finished white pages that were a complete accident, but her book stands in the center of the table as the Kos Eliyahu of the entire dinner party. And so we served a dinner to our friends all around the world, the people that we cannot invite over for meals, that we cannot host, that we cannot show how we feel about them in the traditional way that my family taught me. Sent the plates around the world to them, unbound at that time. They all made the same meal, or at least came up with something as similar, to it as they could, because a lot of them freaked out about the cooking. It was really pretty funny. And then they finished them off, sealed them, sent them back to me. I sealed them a lot more.
Back up. You all did this through Skype, though.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was kind of a big piece to miss. Thank you, Mallory. Mallory didn't have anything to do with this project at all. So we all had the meal together at the same time on Google Hangouts. So it was actually lunch for people in California and really awkward at 3 p.m. for people on the West Coast who just didn't eat all day until 3 p.m. And then it was really late dinner for us here in Israel at 10. And then they finished their dishes, sent them back to me, and I bound them into books, so they're now no longer dishes, they're pages. So if you ask Yehuda McClough or me, probably Tosh here, who's in my binding workshop, they're books, not plates. And if you ask Mallory, they're plates, not books, which is why some of them are down place settings, and another one of them is up like a book would be displayed in a show a lot of times, fanned out on the book. Because that's another question, is are they books or plates? And so this is an analog record of a virtual event. So for us, is our place here in Israel, but we never really intended to make Aliyah and stay? Is it home with our friends and family who we connect to through Skype and iMessage and everything else, all day, every day? No, it's somewhere in between.
And in cyberspace.
It's in cyberspace, now for all eternity on YouTube.